Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia. How you doing today, babe?
I'm doing really well this morning. How are you feeling today?
Oh, doing really good, really good.
Hmm.
Yeah, we saw the movie King Richard today, starring Will Smith, and it was really an awesome movie. I thought it was great. What'd you think?
Oh, it was so wonderful. And I thought Will Smith did an excellent job as he had his father's stance. You know how his father would kind of like walk a certain way and stand a
He
certain
had
way.
it down.
He just studied him,
Oh
and
yeah.
he did a great performance.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't. There was nothing, that stood out to me that said this was not an epically good movie.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like Will Smith has mastered acting. You feel like, like they just know how to do a biopic.
Hmm.
And I compared, like, for example, when he did Muhammad Ali 20 years ago, and I'll be honest and say Muhammad Ali was not on the same level, right? Like with
Uh-huh.
Ali, you saw little things where you're like, I think they could have did that better, but that was like 20 years ago, right?
Right.
So obviously you get better at your craft. But yeah, how many of you saw King Richard? King Richard, about the Venus and Serena Williams story. If you saw it, give us a yes in the chat. Uh,
And it's not like there's any spoilers because we all know what happens in the end. It's not
yeah,
like
the
suspenseful.
black girls kick everybody's ass. That's how
They
the end.
win, but it was how they did it and the importance of what Richard did for them.
Yeah, yeah. I thought
Hmm.
it was a great tribute, to the family, to the father, to the community, to the women, young ladies. Like I just thought it was great. And Venus and Serena, they were involved in the film as executive producers, right?
Yeah, so it was a tribute to their dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked. I'm gonna tell you, I have never met Will Smith. I know a lot of people that know him because I know a lot of people in Philly. But it's like, and I know his brother Harry. I talked to Harry for hours at a time, and I thought he was a great. He's very smart. They have a really intelligent family. But this movie really made me have a lot of respect for Will because as a black man, you don't feel like you always get the props you deserve. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
like
he was definitely king in this movie. Yeah.
yeah, like he really kind of reminded. I think again, maybe this is my biased interpretation, but I believe it reminded everyone of the importance of the father. We forgot that. Like our
Yeah.
community, because they took the fathers out of the house, people are like, oh, we don't need daddies around. But we need mamas. You can't survive without a mama. But the daddy, that's maybe we can use them, maybe not. I think daddies are essential, just like mamas are essential.
Oh, it's so important, and good fathers are essential. I remember there was a scene where
Mm.
where the guy who was kind of giving them a hard time on the tennis courts, he said, "Well, my father taught me how to shoot and smoke weed," and he's like, remember that?
Yeah.
So it was like a stark contrast to the importance of really good fathers in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, good mothers are essential too, right? But
yeah,
and I, and I guess with bad mothers or bad fathers, it's like it's a case by case basis, right? Like
hmm,
I don't know. I mean, shoot, I think no mother at all would be terrible. But then again, if you got a bad mother, that'll mess you up. But yeah, but I thought the movie was well done. It seemed like you know um it was great to see. It was really crazy how he had this 85-page plan.
what is this? That is really phenomenal that he said none of the children I have now can do it. I got to have two more kids so that I can lay out this plan. That is, gosh, that's very spiritual, by the way, and it just tells you set
Mm,
your intentions on what you want. You got your own people right there in your house that you can influence, and that you can start from infancy and instill in them all of these qualities that they carried out on that court. It's not just, you can compartmentalize who you are.
hmm
It is really where you come from and how you were raised and what people in the household tell you about yourself. And you do believe it, and they believed it.
Well, I like.
Wonderful.
Well, I like. Here's what one thing I really I approve that message in the
Hmm.
sense, like, I always tell when I'm talking about dating and picking a man to head your household, I would say ask him what his plan is. And I said, if he can't tell you what his plan is, then that means he ain't got no plan. Like, like a man without a plan is planning to fail. Like when they said that, I said, man, this is like a great message. I'm telling you, like the man with the plan is the one who usually wins.
Yes.
You know, and I can identify because I had pulled it. Did you see where I pulled up that old picture of when I got my PhD? And I was kind of not that I'm here to talk about anything Boyce did that's of interest, but I found this. My aunt Valeria has sent me this old picture that I didn't even have the copy of this picture, and this is a picture when I got my PhD.
Ooh, what was your plan back then, Boyce?
Well, that's the thing. I had a plan to achieve certain things, and I actually went beyond the plan. But the fact that I had a plan meant I had a purpose. And every day I would get up and I would say, you know, okay, I'm not doing that because that's not on the plan. You know, I wouldn't say, but you know, very subtly, of course. But yeah, but having a plan is critical, and I just love the way they emphasize in this movie having a plan. You got to have a damn plan. How many of y'all got a plan? We got any men with a plan? Any women with a plan? If you got a plan, everybody write the word plan in the chat because I think that's an important message for us to understand.
Oh, I'm seeing someone wrote. I can't read the name. Jerome wrote Academy Award performance. Yes.
Yes.
And wouldn't it be marvelous if we got an Academy Award out of Will Smith? Just the movie too.
Didn't Will Smith already win an Academy Award?
I feel like he may have at least been nominated. You got to look it up, but that's a performance right there.
Yeah, well, he deserves it. I don't pay attention to the Oscars, but I'm sure he deserves one. I mean,
well, it was an Academy Award level performance.
Oh yeah, my man murdered it. And it was so crazy. It was after the movie they showed the real people from the whole experience, and we were like, okay, wow, they look just like the people in the movie. Look, it was crazy.
I don't know who the casting people who casted that film.
Ooh, they killed it, didn't they?
Yeah, it was great.
They absolutely killed it. Yeah, but by the way, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia, and this is where my wife and I we lay against our pillows and we talk about stuff that professors talk about when they're laying in bed and just discussing what's happening in the world. And so we watched the movie King Richard, which was extremely important for us to watch because it involves a Black family with a plan that went out and executed that plan in front of the world. And so we thought we'd give a quick review of the plan. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. If you haven't done it yet, please do that. Let me mention this to you too. Remember, or actually you were there. Remember we went down to visit the people at the Air Jordan brand. We happen to know the CEO of the Air Jordan company, Larry Miller. He's a former CEO. So we went down to visit the Nike campus, which was a big, beautiful campus, and every building is named after some famous athlete. Like they had the big Michael Jordan building, the Tiger Woods Conference Center. You saw, like all kinds of
LeBron James, remember?
They had a LeBron James building. Yeah, and in the background, we saw this really tall, big building that didn't look like any of the other buildings. It was like black and all the other buildings in a different color. Yeah. And it was gigantic. And we said, what building is that? And they said, oh, that's going to be the Serena Williams building. And I'll be damned. I mean, does she not deserve the goatiest GOAT structure in that? I mean, like, she's the greatest. Like, Serena's the GOAT. Like, she's accomplished more than Michael Jordan and any of those people, And so it's kind of interesting to see, and so it was great that they were honored in that way.
It's one thing to be great at tennis, but I think she was named like the best athlete. Just in general, a great athlete. But tennis is first of all, I love tennis. And I'm obsessed with it. And I used to play tennis, not competitively, but so I understand like how hard tennis is. I did play competitively a little bit, but it really is a mental game because it's just you. It's not a team sport. It's just you, and you do as well as you think you're going to do. It is a mental game, and a lot of those unforced errors is really just you getting in your own way. So that's one thing I noticed. I appreciate that about tennis. Of course, I'm not at the level of any professional, but it was really enjoyable. But it was something to realize how difficult that sport is and how white that sport is. They broke into the tennis game, and as an outsider.
Well, I think it's I'm super proud of their family because I love the idea of I mean, I know that it's probably biased that I like the title King Richard, right?
Yeah.
And I know that not everybody liked that title. I think there was some radical lady who said that it's annoying because I don't even know who this lady is, but so it's a couple people on Twitter said, did they seriously make a film called King Richard about the success of Venus and Serena Williams? But it's about their dad, Richard. I get this has annoyed people, but I genuinely didn't expect a film about two of the most powerful, successful, and amazing Black female athletes to be named after a man or center a man. I would have loved for the film to be all about them and not a man. That's it, really. Okay, so my first thought is like, okay, why do you hate men so much? Because remember, Kanye West had a whole album called Donda, and named after his mother. Now there was no Donda songs in there.
I didn't hear
There was
Donda
no,
too much in the songs.
well, it wasn't Tupac, Dear Mama, but still, Kanye did make an album called Donda, right? And I think, and here's the thing, right? I think this film was important because historically, the Black man gets erased. Like the contributions that these men make. Because remember, you have a lot of scenarios where great Black people have done amazing things because their father had a plan. Success is like a rocket, where if you shoot a rocket into the sky, it has to be clearly targeted and clearly, like, unquestionably determined to leave the Earth's atmosphere, or it'll fall back to the ground, or it'll blow up or crash. So the same thing is true with breaking out of your circle, your sphere of mediocrity. Like if you're trying to go out into outer space and become really successful at that level, you have to be real clear. And what I like about Richard Williams was that he was 100% crystal clear. He didn't listen to doubters and haters. He didn't let nothing distract him. He didn't let anything make him question his plan. The same thing was true, in my view, of a few other fathers that don't get really recognized because they're not perfect men. Beyonce's daddy. You can't tell me Beyonce would be Beyonce without her daddy. Her daddy, Matthew Knowles, made a plan. When Beyonce was winning all them trophies and she's 10 years old, her daddy was like, this is what my daughter's going to be. She's going to be the biggest star in the world. Tiger Woods had a daddy with a plan who had him in golf tournaments at the age of 4. Right?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Come on, how you
Michael
not
Jackson.
From Gary, Indiana. You're not
Michael Jackson. Oh my God. Joe Jackson. Shout out to Joe Jackson. Right? And so it's kind of like, and it's kind of a tough thing, right? It's a little nuanced because we know that ain't nobody perfect, and we know Joe Jackson was not a perfect man. But Joe Jackson created the greatest, like arguably the greatest musical megastar in history, right? And you don't do that by accident. You do that with a plan.
From Gary, Indiana. I mean, they're from Compton, California. Gary, Indiana.
Right.
In the middle of nothing great going on in those places.
Gary's kind of like the Compton of the East. Like,
it sure is.
I mean, Gary was the murder capital of the world at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, so I know, here's the thing, right? So what usually happens is there's usually, when these men push their children to be great, that people don't understand that sometimes greatness can get a little ugly. Sometimes it means you got to put that foot in their ass to get them focused, right? And that can cause side effects, right? It can cause children like Michael. Michael wasn't.
He was different. He was a very sensitive child. He was different.
He was sensitive. He probably missed out on a lot of his childhood, stuff like that. But if you think about it, the one common factor I've noticed is that every single one of those Black men I mentioned, Beyonce's daddy, Tiger Woods' daddy, Venus and Serena's daddy, Joe Jackson, and even Victory Boyd's father, Jon Boyd, who wrote the Infinity Song. Like every single case, there are people who have negative things to say about them. Like Joe Jackson, like Joe Jackson
They weren't perfect.
They weren't perfect.
But they were really great fathers. Well, and you know what's interesting? I think that this movie wasn't really about tennis.
Interesting. Okay.
It wasn't about tennis. It was really about the process of making somebody great.
Interesting. Okay. Explain.
It's what's instilled in the children in your home that make them exceptional. Paying attention to the kids and paying attention to their talent and cultivating that and giving them the confidence, and so that they can. I mean, it takes a lot of nerve to get up in front of everybody and sing. Like, even just to perform and to do your craft, that takes a lot of nerve, a lot of confidence.
Mm.
And I think that is the demarcation between like successful people and unsuccessful people. It's just having the goal, the nerve to do it.
That's real. I mean, that's a good.
And
Oh,
so many people are just crippled and they
yeah,
hold themselves back. Yeah.
yeah. We know a lot of times, and this is one thing I think a lot of people don't understand is, high levels of success. It's like similar to what Beyonce did with with her parents.
Mm-hmm.
That level of success comes from having principles of excellence. Like when you talk about Black excellence, that has to be a way of life. It has to be something you're committed to on a almost spiritual level, on a psychological subconscious level.
Mm-hmm.
And because if you go back and you look at most of these stars, Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Venus and Serena, stuff like that, they were winning trophies when they were like 6.
Yeah.
That's because the standard was set when they were young, and they're just the adult versions of what they were when they were children.
Yeah, because the parents never played tennis, but was teaching their children tennis.
That's hilarious.
That is so
Uh,
funny.
well, actually, what was it? Venus and Serena's daddy, Richard, he learned tennis from an old guy named Whiskey back in Louisiana.
And he walked around with those tennis shorts on like he was gonna play tennis, but never did.
Yeah,
Those little
it's
tiny shorts.
it's so great. Like he I know, right? He didn't play any tennis, but he always had tennis shorts on.
Look
But
dressed.
but yeah, those little
His
tight
drip,
ass shorts.
his drip had
The
those.
lady said, "Get the booty shorts." Yeah, but seriously, like I think that there's a pattern here. Like I think we're cracking the code when you look at like a lot of these people going back, Tiger Woods and his daddy, and Venus and Serena, and Joe Jackson, and Beyonce, and Matthew, and all that, and LeVar Ball, even with his sons.
Yeah, that's a good
A
one.
lot of times the children were dominating something at an early age. So I think everybody in here, like what you do with your kids culturally as children is going to shape out into who they become as adults. Like
Mm.
you can't make them into champions when they're in their 20s and 30s. Like by that time they're kind of like 10, 15 years behind. And in fact, actually, when we teach wealth to kids,
Yes.
that's the model I think about. Like we have a program called Black Millionaires of Tomorrow in the Black Business School, and there's the URL, by the way, if anybody's interested. And the main thing that we do is, my thought is, how do you create the financial version of a Tiger Woods? How do you create the economic version of a Venus and Serena? Well, you get them started early. You get them
Mm-hmm.
started early. Like you start teaching your kids about stocks and real estate and how to start a business when they're like 6. They're gonna kill it. They're gonna be a
Yeah,
millionaire by the time they're 16 years old. You know. So I personally think that this should be a standard.
it should be. And in addition to that, um, oh, I'm just curious of you. What you think about the interaction between the mom and the dad?
I think that I could see the mother having frustration. If I read Richard Williams' bio, and it was really, really interesting. My man's been married 3 times.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and he married, or I think Oracene was her name in the movie.
Okay.
And when they got married, I think they got married in 1980, and she already had 3 kids from a deceased husband. And then he basically was like, "We need to have 2 more kids,
Oh,
so that they
those
can
weren't. Yes.
become,
Okay.
yeah, so they can become like, the number one tennis players in the world."
That is so crazy.
Talk about, but you know what that is? See, that comes from God. That's God tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "I'm gonna give you a crazy plan. It's between me and you, but you got to stick to the plan."
Oh my gosh.
Yes, in Compton,
It's
Compton,
great. I mean,
Compton.
he made a lot of hard decisions, about holding them back and not letting the girls play the tournaments and
Yeah,
stuff. And it was like it was a brilliant move in the end. But even I was like, why is not letting them play in the tournament?
I
Even I
know.
didn't
I was like, take the
understand.
money from Nike. That's $3
Yeah,
million,
it's
Richard.
really so I think like as a wife and a mom, it would have been some really hard conversations. I love the fact that they didn't disagree out in open and that they kind of disagreed
Mm,
privately. I think
true.
that's
Good
what's
point.
important. You just kind of let it go, and then later on, you're like, I got to talk to you about what happened. let me tell you what happened. So
Mm.
I thought that interaction between them was really nice.
Well, what you love about Will Smith's portrayal of
Hmm.
Richard Williams is that and we know this is all romanticized for film, right? So we know people are never as perfect as they appear to be in the movie after the fact. But I like the fact that they portrayed Richard and his wife as parents that wanted their children to be successful, but they didn't come off like those crazy, those crazy moms or dads that
Yes.
push their kids beyond their limit.
Yeah, he was very adamant. He said, I want them to be children. I want them to know what it's like to be a child.
Hmm.
And so he's like, no, they're gonna go to school, they're gonna go to church. It must have been Jehovah Witness or something.
Yeah.
That must have been okay. So they're gonna go to school, they're gonna go to Kingdom Hall, and they're gonna play with their friends. So you saw a lot of them in the background, like running around, playing, and doing what children do. I think that might be the mistake with Tiger Woods. I got the impression that Tiger Woods didn't really have that sort of normal childhood.
And you saw what happened to him
And
when
you
he got
see what
older.
happens to him when he got older, and
Same
even
thing.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yep.
Jackson. So maybe he saw that and said, they have got to learn how to be children. So he studied what they needed.
Yeah, well, one common thread, and do agree with you about Tiger. I feel like Tiger lost his way, when his daddy died, and I think what's interesting is that one commonality would say Tiger Woods and Richard Williams, their fathers, is that which, by the way, I don't think they liked each other. I think he said, I
Oh,
think
they're too much alike.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah. I think Earl Woods said Richard Williams was crazy or something, if I'm not mistaken. But here's what's funny though: white media called both of them crazy. White media wrote a scathing, because Tiger's daddy Earl, shout out to Earl Woods, he's deceased now, but Tiger's daddy used to literally be like, and I think they wrote an article in Sports Illustrated that was really nasty about him, where he was at a tournament and he was like half drunk, they said, and he was like basically saying, "My son's gonna kick all y'all's kids' asses. All these
Well,
white
that was
kids,
true.
my son's gonna whoop all their asses." Like his father was saying that, and they were like golf is competitive and it's really difficult, and how dare you come out here and disrespect the sport by saying all that. He's like, "No, my son is
Embarrassing. He embarrassed
you ain't
Tiger.
never seen nothing like my son," and he was right.
Yeah.
Tiger was the greatest
Oh,
golfer in the history of the world.
again, breaking into doing something no one else has done, breaking into a sport that's historically you don't see a lot of us in there.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think we need
Then
to
he
move.
started messing with them white women.
Well,
Go ahead.
that is so interesting, because you know what?
What?
That is really, because you think about seeing Serena and Venus, they're not married. They don't date no
That is
black
so
men.
true. Damn.
So
What is up with them not marrying
that's
black people?
quite fascinating. But no, I was gonna say that I think we need to stop putting our kids in basketball and football. It's just like,
Basketball and
hello.
football is overcrowded.
It's just like,
It's too
stop.
much competition, man.
You need
Put
to-
them in a sport where there's, like you see
what
that.
about like
What?
lacrosse? We need to dominate lacrosse.
Well, you know what? Well, Jim Brown used to dominate lacrosse.
Oh, really? Oh, he was just the best athlete.
Oh, Jim
ever.
Brown was the man.
He
Jim
could
Brown,
do
like,
anything.
yeah, he was like Superman, and he competed in like the 1950s when they didn't even have the best of like white athletes out there even then. He wouldn't compete against any black people hardly. So Jim Brown was like a grown man competing against
Jim Brown
children.
was a tank.
Yeah,
he was a tank out there.
He was awesome. But yeah. So yeah, I don't know that. I don't understand that either. I agree with you. I mean, so many of them end up with these marrying these white people. I wonder what's up with that.
I wonder, because okay, so you talked about how King Richard, he was a great father, but he wasn't perfect. And I wonder if they witnessed their mom going through some interesting experiences associated with their dad as to why they are gravitating toward the white men.
Very interesting.
I wonder if there's some issues there, because look at that. Yeah. So that's Venus's husband.
Yeah,
is she married?
that's Venus.
Yeah. So both of them married.
There's Serena and her white boy.
And they're really, they're
little corny looking
little
white
tiny
guys.
white boys. They're not.
And Serena could probably bench press his ass. Like that's such an awkward picture. But you are right. I wonder if there's something there. You know what? I remember. Did I ever tell you? I've told you the story about that ugly girl I dated in college, right? who
Which ugly girl? No, I'm
shut
just
up, be
kidding.
quiet. Who none of them were as beautiful as you. But
But
yeah,
of course,
but
right? No,
she
I'm just
really
kidding.
loved white people. Like she really it seemed to have this awkward admiration for white people, like almost like it was like a better life, like, and she grew up in the hood, and
Oh.
she grew up around, like, well, first of all, a lot of men in her family had disappointed her. Also, she didn't see a lot of examples of solid black men in her community. She saw scenarios where the men were predatory, because she was in the hood, and I and she ended up marrying a white guy. And her favorite movie was The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston.
Yeah, you wonder about that self hatred.
Hmm.
How she internalized and how she interpreted the experience. She probably isn't even aware of why she is attracted. Was she conscious of the fact that, oh yeah, I'm interested in only white men because of what happened to me? Was she aware of it, or was it more unconscious?
I think it was more unconscious. I think it
Okay.
was like I remember it was real interesting to kind of watch her because I was the first black boyfriend she'd ever had. She'd never dated a black guy before. And which is right there, that's a little bit strange. And I
Uh-huh.
remember, like, she would watch the movie The Bodyguard over and over and over again.
She was fixated on that movie.
Yeah, like it was like a
Hmm.
fantasy of hers, and I just found that really interesting. I think sometimes that's what you have, and I would love I'd love to find out sort of why, you have these black people, Venus and Serena particularly came from Compton, Compton, Compton. I always have to say that.
I know, right?
And
You don't get no blacker than Compton.
right, and the black man is not quite your first choice. But I don't know. But I'm not being
But I mean,
critical.
they could be with anybody.
They could. They
But
could.
wait a minute, didn't
Well,
he?
Serena's dated a lot of
Wait,
black dudes.
didn't was it Common?
Yeah, Common, and there was
I
another.
just for some reason I just didn't believe that relationship.
That was kind of strange, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want to count Common.
I don't think anybody believes any of those relationships because Common. I think Common dated Angela Rye. Angela Rye hates my guts. She's
Yes.
disliked me for
Yes, we know
years.
that.
Yeah, but I mean, she was mean. She was mean to everybody, and I was like, "You're being mean. Like, why are you being so mean to people? Good Lord, what's wrong with you, lady?" But yeah. So I personally think that just going back to the movie, it was really good. I think that it's worth watching.
It tugged at your emotional strings too. Like I kind of like at the end when we all know what happens, but when Venus steps out and they applaud for her, and there were some really tender moments between her and her father. When he was talking to her, don't you think?
Oh, I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was like good moments there where they really needed their dad to come in and give them a pep talk. They really needed their parents there for them, supporting them.
Oh,
And
by the way, there's a picture of Serena and
in
Common.
common. Okay,
They
so
don't.
there they are
They
together.
don't look
It
like
doesn't look.
they don't look like they belong there.
No,
I
that
don't. I'm not
doesn't.
picking up chemistry there. What do
No.
you think?
Uh, uh, uh.
Maybe they should have come to you for couples counseling. They could have
Oh,
lasted. She wouldn't end up marrying the dorky looking white guy.
well, to each its own. I don't want to knock people
Yeah,
for
let's
that,
not
but
knock. I know we got so way off track.
we did.
But yeah. So what I really think with this movie, what really I think inspired me the most is I love the clear message that says that you can't stop a man with a plan. And you
Yeah.
also, it seemed to me that they allowed his plan to be a guide for the family, for good or for bad. And they trusted him, and I think he was worthy of that trust. Richard Williams is not a perfect man, but then again, I have never known God to create perfect people.
I do. I think having a child in sports, it is the most nerve-wracking thing in the world. And like I totally get how he would turn his back to the court and couldn't watch. Like I get it. Just wanting your child to do so well, and just to see them out there perform. It's really an emotional experience. Like there have been times when what you laughing for?
Rusty Door said, "Dorky looking white guys need love too."
Who said?
Rusty looks a little dorky in that picture, but that's a funny statement.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out to
You know what?
Shout out to Rusty.
Dorky white guys get love from everywhere.
Dorky
They
white
don't need
guys
to get
with
it from us.
money get all the love they want. So just go get your paper up, Rusty. I'm
Get
sure
your
there's
paper.
plenty of people that'll. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't marry no broke. white men either,
They
did
sure
they?
didn't. I think Venus, I think Serena's, I think both of their husbands are like billionaires or something.
Well,
Okay, well, good for them.
we give them a pass.
Well, when I get married, I was gonna marry a black woman. If I didn't marry you, I was gonna marry another black woman. We're gonna marry you. Ain't gonna see me marrying
Really,
Becky.
we don't have to get on here and analyze
No,
your childhood and why you.
Becky and Karen would never be my spouse. No disrespect to Becky and Karen, but there's nothing that matches the beauty of a black woman in my view.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So
black women are, no, are ranked number one every year.
every year, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So, what was your final thought, baby?
I was just gonna say how tough it is having a child. Just a child do anything. I have a child taking finals. I'm really rooting for him. I have a
Mm,
child that has to do anything. You put so much into your children and you want to protect them and you want them to do well in life and you don't want them to go through all these tough times. And so as a parent, it's heart wrenching. You're
mm,
just your stomach turns. You put so much in them. And so I don't know. That's what I was gonna say. That part I definitely identify with as a parent who's I've had some children perform on stage, and it just you're
mm.
just like on the edge of
It's
your seat, like
nerve
go,
wracking.
go, go, and so that part I really enjoyed. I really identified.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it too. Well, I think my favorite thing was, I always say love is the most powerful force in the universe, and the word love, it resonated all throughout this film. The way they portrayed the love that this father had for his family, the
Hmm.
sacrifices that the parents made for the kids, and the fact that the children appreciated that, and the children themselves appeared to have a strong bond. And you just love that. You love to see the big sister wanting to be with the little sister, and the family just really coming together. And
Yeah.
that's what's impressive about the Williams family, is the fact that they are just such an awesome family.
Yeah, they
Like,
all moved down to Florida,
yeah.
just so that they can. I mean, not that Florida was a bad thing from Compton, but they moved down there just so that the entire family. He said, "No, we're not breaking up. The entire family's moving down to Florida,
Hmm.
knowing that that's what's important for them."
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was really wonderful.
And here they are years later, standing next to Will Smith.
Isn't
I
that
you
great?
notice how the actresses that play them are so much shorter than them. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because Venus and Serena look like, the female Adonis statues. Like, they look, very
Who
powerful and
those
strong.
women are beautiful.
They're gorgeous, and they look athletic. Like, Serena looks like
Yes.
she will whoop your ass on the tennis court.
I mean, both of them. Look at their bodies. Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God. And yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so it was a great movie. We highly recommend it. It's called King Richard. I'm sure you've heard of it. And shout out to Will Smith and his family and his production team for putting together a great movie. And shout out to the Williams family in general for setting a great example for so many people and inspiring so many people.
Yeah, it really was inspiring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
very nice.
All right, all right. Well, everybody, by the way, if you want to follow Alicia, you can follow her at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She's a licensed therapist, couples counselor, and full professor of social work. And
Mhm.
me, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and you can follow me at the Real Boyce Watkins on Instagram. And my PhD's in finance. And I found that old picture to show you guys. A lot of people, sometimes when you're black and you have a PhD, people don't believe it's real. But there I am. I saw this picture this morning, and so that's me
Look at
20 years
you.
ago. Yeah, yeah. The man with a plan. I had a plan.
Oh, yes, you do have
I
a
had a
plan.
plan, and here we are, 20 years later. All right, so take care, guys. Have a good day. Please hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe button on the way out if you haven't done it yet. And also, in case you're watching this during Black Friday, don't forget, if you go to boycewatkins.com, there's some stuff going on in the Black Business School as far as stuff that's deeply discounted for this week. If you want to take a look, just go to boycewatkins.com, and you can see what our Black Friday deals are. So feel free to take a look. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you.
Okay, goodbye.